Everybody needs to calm down when it comes to Jordyn Tyson not participating in on-field drills at the Combine. I'm just going to do it for him.
Happy Tuesday and welcome into the PHNX Sun Devils Show. I'm Anthony Totri, joined as always by Jordyn Tyson stunt double, Erik Ruby. We've got the freckled Mamba behind the Mac making all of the magic happen. JJB, Emily, David here in the chat. Appreciate all the Sun Devils here ready to talk about Jordyn Tyson. Of course, an Arizona State legend through his few seasons here in Tempe. But Erik, the report coming out last night that Tyson wouldn't be participating in on-field drills or testing at the 2026 NFL Combine, which is, of course, this week. We've got several folks here from PHNX actually in Indy for the Combine. Super excited to get some sound back this week from Keyshawn Elliott, Keith Abney while they're out there as well. That should be a lot of fun. But fans won't get to see JT on the field. Instead, they'll have to settle for you, Erik.
Yeah, I mean, you see it, right?
Wait. Okay, I got it.
There you go. I mean, I don't think many will notice. If anything, they might be like, wow, I think Jordyn Tyson's moving
He's
up
faster.
Our draft
Yeah.
boards. Yeah, it's faster than we expected him to be. Are you disappointed?
Ooh, am I disappointed? In who? Am I do I have to be disappointed in am I just bummed?
Yeah, like just you don't have to be like mad, but just like wasn't it kind of exciting to be like, ooh, like I thought he was gonna do really well, honestly, in the on-field drills. And so I was excited to see what he was able to do. I'm a little bummed.
Maybe slightly
angry.
Bummed. Maybe a tad bummed, yeah.
Okay, cool. Good show.
Yeah, no, I don't have anything else on that. Like in terms of like, again, we've had this conversation before about the Combine, and you know where I stand on it and what it means in comparison to like pro days and all that type of stuff. Am I bummed that we don't get to see Jordyn Tyson out there with some of the best prospects in this draft? Yes. But ultimately, again, like in terms of what it means long term, I think people probably are reading way too far into it. But it's draft season, and that's what people do. But yeah, I'm a little bummed, especially if it is still because he's nursing back from the hamstring, as opposed to him just wanting more time before the pro day. Yeah, that kind of bums me out that we're here in February and the season ended, as long ago as it did, right? We haven't seen him practice and do anything with Arizona State since November. So the fact that we're still here in February talking about this, and people making it a big deal is a little bit of a bummer to kind of like, overshadow everything that he has accomplished at the college ranks.
Yeah, the hamstring part is the interesting side of it. I think a lot of us figured that he'd be healthy by now, and by no means does this mean that he's not healthy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's an option. It's a path that we can walk down as far as what does this mean for Jordyn Tyson's long-term health. And, we talk about him in the draft, and the big concern, really the only concern, being the fact that he can't stay healthy. If he's not able to participate in these drills because he's not fully healthy, then that is a little scary when it comes to his draft stock. There's another path that we can walk down, though, which is maybe he's hearing some good things about where he's going to go in the draft, teams liking him, and he doesn't think he really needs to put anything else out there to boost his draft stock, which I think that if he tested, and again, if he's fully healthy, which we hope that he is, and there's no reporting that says he's not, I think he would have gained a little traction, a little steam, maybe outside of GM rooms where they probably already pretty high on him. but this is one of the most well-rounded athletes I think Arizona State has ever seen. We were not too long ago in the offseason talking with guys at Big 12 Media Day who were saying like Jordyn Tyson was benching the same as linemen, right?
Mhm.
And so this is somebody that I think would have really, really thrived in this situation. And he might just not have to do it because his agent is hearing that, okay, we like where you're going in the draft. It seems like you got a couple of teams who, if you're there, you're going to be selected somewhere in the first round. There's
Yeah.
no need to take any chances or any risks.
Yeah, and again, I think as it relates to the hamstring and the injury stuff, we've had this discussion before. It feels like anytime any news comes out with Jordyn Tyson, people are trying to hammer home some sort of like illusion that Jordyn Tyson is injury prone. When you look at the injuries that he sustained, the knee injury at Colorado, freak injury, right? Not something that was based off of like any sort of like legitimate medical condition or anything that he had been dealing with prior. Like literally just freak injury, blew out his knee, right? Takes his time, recovers, transfers, whatever, plays pretty much the entirety, if not the entirety of that 2024 season. You get to the fourth quarter, breaks his collarbone against U of A. Right. Another freak thing, not something that is, again, based off of any sort of medical history or any sort of trends as it relates specific to JT, just freak accident. And then you have the hamstring. Athletes all the time deal with hamstrings, right? Like none of this is based off of JT as an athlete, what he does in terms of like his body, in terms of recovery, in terms of working out, in terms of the time that he invests in making sure that his body is good to go. You could argue he probably puts more thought and preparation and emphasis on keeping his body in an above average state based off of the fact that he dealt with an injury at Colorado, that knee injury that some thought he'd never return from, right? An injury that took over a year to rehab from. So he puts in the time, he puts in the energy, he, absorbs the resources that were at his disposal here at Arizona State and likely beyond to try and make up for the fact that there is this, voice in the void that is, hey, Jordyn Tyson, great receiver, great athlete. Can he stay on the field? Right? Like that's what's out there right now. And I think sometimes, especially when it comes to the NFL Combine, there is this just perception that if a player opts to not participate in drills or opts to not test, that something's wrong, right? When that's not necessarily the case. So I think it's important that you bring up, hey, like he could be hearing good things, right? We've seen how many mock drafts, and I'm not saying mock drafts are fact, right? But how many of these have we discussed or seen or posted about on social media that have Jordyn Tyson in the top 20, right? That have Jordyn Tyson in the top 10. Some that have him as the first wide receiver off the board, some at 2, some at 3. Right now, in terms of this decision, will it impact his draft stock? I think is the real question at hand here. Is like, do teams see this coupled with the fact that he didn't play in a number of games this season as a okay, we're just gonna move along. If we do have a need at wide receiver and he's there, maybe we pass on him. Like, do you see this realistically impacting his draft stock?
Not to like give the cop out answer, but I think it could. I think it could impact his draft stock. And look, teams get medicals. So if he's missing this because of the hamstring or something else, then yeah, probably. I mean, I don't know if it impacts it to the point that he drops out of the first round. I think that the conversation about that has been quite ridiculous. I think that once you start getting into the 20s, teams are just going to be like, this guy is so good that we're going to take a shot at him at the end of the first round.
Yeah.
But and I get everything that you said about the injury stuff. And it is unfortunate because it's not like he keeps on, pulling his calf over and over and over again. It's just this one injury. But there are guys who are always injured and there are guys that aren't. And it sucks because sometimes it's like, well, man, it's not your fault and it's not his fault, but it happens, right? And I think if you're a team and you're evaluating how do we get the most value for our pick? Well, the worst way to do that is to A, draft a bust, which Jordyn Tyson will not be, or B, draft somebody who can't be on the field despite being good. And there is some concern with that with Jordyn Tyson. Maybe stuff that's been out of his control, but if you're, trying to break down a tie between two players and one's been more available than the other, then okay, like that kind of helps you make your decision if it's not like the final determining factor. So if he's missing the combine because of a hamstring or something else, which again, those aren't the reports, yet we haven't heard that. It just happens to be a possibility for that to happen. Teams will know why. He can't hide it from them. And yeah, that's probably going to play into the narrative of literally Totri, quite literally, the only thing that is bringing down his draft value. There's not a single other thing out there that's like, oh man, that's why Jordyn Tyson would slip. We talked about it last week. It's just the injury thing. And if he's missing the combine because of it, which I want to keep on reiterating, we don't know that to be the case, then yeah, it's probably going to impact it a little bit.
Let's get something very clear. Jordyn Tyson is not falling out of the first round of the 2026 NFL draft. Anybody that believes that is the case, go take your meds, because that's just not it. We're not going to sit here and talk about somebody that people view to this day as the number one wide receiver on the board in the 2026 NFL draft, not participating in drills, which again is not new. We've seen players do this before. Tedero McMillan did it last year, didn't participate in any of the on-field stuff at the 2025 Combine, drafted 8 overall, right? So we're not going to sit here and say because he's not participating in drills in shorts in a T-shirt that he's somehow magically going to fall to the first round. If you believe that, it's a good thing you are not a general manager for an NFL franchise. Because if Jordyn Tyson falls anywhere past 22, the teams at the top of the second round, the Raiders, the Cardinals, the Browns, the Jets, any of those teams, they're going to pick up the phone and they're going to do whatever they need to do to get back into that first round. Because Jordyn Tyson is somebody that, again, before any of this, you remove the injury stuff, we're talking about a top 10 pick. If you want to be like completely push away any sort of bias, I'll give you top 15. Top 15 pick. He's not falling out of the first round because of this. Will it impact his draft stock? I think there's another part of this conversation that we need to have a little bit later on in the show before I can truly answer that. But if we're talking just strictly NFL Combine, it just strictly, hey, let's pretend pro days didn't exist for a second here. Is his draft stock going to be impacted based off the fact that he's not running around in shorts and a T-shirt? No. Now, if he wasn't going to the Combine at all, and he wasn't doing interviews, and he wasn't having conversations with coaches, GMs, and scouts, then maybe his stock would fall because, of course, there are potentially some red flags there. He's going to the Combine, and he's interviewing with teams, right? He's still going to have those conversations. And I would bet my life that the first question asked is why. Why aren't you doing X, Y, and Z here in Indy, right? He's going to have an answer for those questions. It's not like he's going to be surprised, right? And ultimately, you think they're going to go into those conversations with coaches and GMs? He's going to answer that one question, and that's going to be, okay, thanks, we'll see you later. Like, let's be real here for a second, right? There is so much more that goes into a prospect in the NFL draft and first-round talent specifically than just, hey, guy didn't want to run around in Lucas Oil for a couple days.
Yeah, this might be breaking news, Totri. Jordyn Tyson is not the first guy to sit out of on-field trips at the Combine.
Really?
I've never seen you move like that and make that noise in my entire life.
I don't know if I've ever made that noise before, but that's just
crazy.
What happens when you shock me in such a wild way like that.
Yeah, I think there's a little more to this on like why he's not going to be slipping out of the first round. And I think we should go like team by team and talk about would this team in the 20s pass on Jordyn Tyson? And I think that we should do that on the other side of our first break.
Look, you already know Phoenix is one of the best sports cities in America, but this spring, it's about to raise the bar to a whole another level. Because for the first time ever, that is right, for the first time in history, NASCAR and NTT IndyCar Series are racing during the same weekend at where else? Phoenix Raceway. You guys get a front row seat to it all. Of course, it's the kind of energy that you really have to feel in person to understand. And if you want the best access in motorsports, we're talking going inside the garage, walking the track, meeting the drivers, and of course, catching that pre-race concert. Make sure you upgrade to the Desert Diamond Casino in-field experience. Of course, there are several different ticket options that you guys can explore, and you can watch the 2025 Cup Series champion Kyle Larson return to the track where he won it all just a couple months prior. Make sure you secure your seats now at the link in our description.
You ever watch NASCAR High?
Ooh, I haven't, but that sounds electric.
Yeah, it's definitely something you need to try out because it is electric, almost as electric as Pure Edibles, because Pure Edibles, founded in Arizona, and all three founders from where else but Arizona State University, they just have the best edibles in the game. It's plain and simple, whether it comes to taste, because they're a full-fledged candy company, so they're gummies and hard candies. They don't taste like weed, they just taste like candy, which is very unheard of in the edible world, but also because you know exactly how you're going to feel. They use a unique blend such as CBN, CBG, CBD, and marijuana-derived THC to deliver a very specific experience. It's not just indica sativa hybrid like you see with other ones. It's sleepy, it's uplifted, it's relaxed. So you know exactly how you're going to feel, and all of that is clearly listed on every single tin. Go get yourself some Pure Edibles products, one of the over 150 dispensaries across Arizona. Hey, you! Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe. Yeah, Totri. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Give us hype points, whatever the hell that means. That's on YouTube now. And again, I don't want to shock you, Totri. I don't want to shock you too much. I know how fickle your heart can be, so I need you to brace yourself.
Okay.
It's NFL Combine Week. And we're doing a Die Hard sale because of it. That's right. We're giving $36 for 1 year of Die Hard membership, the best coverage from the Combine, but then from everything else. We have an entire draft guide that is Die Hard exclusive. It's the best football coverage. Plus, you get access to our Die Hard Discord, you get a free shirt, and all the other sports as well. We're up in our Die Hard game in 2026. You want to be a part of it. We're going to have a lot of fun in that Die Hard Discord too. That's a lot of times where we're talking about, baseball and some of the other, ASU sports that sometimes don't make it onto the show. We get into the weeds, and a lot of ASU fans talk about that in our Die Hard Discord. So scan that QR code on the screen or go to gophnx.com/intro for that one. Totri.
Erik.
Let's play a game.
Okay. I like
games. You like games?
I love games.
Perfect. Let's just live in a world where Jordyn Tyson does not go in the first 19 picks, which, again, I don't see. Like, I go team by team, and I just don't see them passing on Jordyn Tyson, okay?
Okay.
Let's start at pick number 20.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me if you could realistically see this team taking Jordyn Tyson if he's available.
Okay, realistically.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, I want you to non-biased, not that they should, but would they?
Would they? Okay.
Okay. At number 20, you have the Dallas Cowboys via the Green Bay Packers. So, Cowboys.
I'm going to say no.
Okay. Cool. At number 21, we should ask Ayrton this one. The Pittsburgh Steelers, Freckled Mamba, do you see them realistically passing on Jordyn Tyson?
Definitely not.
Okay. So now we're 1 for 2 on teams that would definitely not pass.
Can I second that? Definitely not.
Yeah. So we're 1 for 2, okay? At number 22, Totri, the Los Angeles Chargers.
They definitely wouldn't pass.
Okay. So we're 2 for 3 in the 20s alone. This is if he gets there. At number 23, the Philadelphia Eagles.
There's a world. There's absolutely a world, especially with them talking about A.J. Brown potentially not being there next year. So, yeah, I would say there's a shot.
Okay. That's 3 of 4. At number 24, the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, if they don't take a receiver with their first pick, then yeah, for sure.
Okay. 4 out of 5. Next up, the Chicago Bears.
I would say probably not, but you never know with Ben Johnson. I would say
Sure.
probably not, though.
We'll do a 4 for 6 then, okay? 4 of 6 in the 20 so far. At number 26, the Buffalo Bills.
They would, I mean, Josh Allen would be running to turn into pick.
5 for 7. All right. At number 27, the San Francisco 49ers. Can we say no just so that he doesn't have to practice next to the electrical plant?
Sure, we could say no for that.
Okay.
Although
okay.
I'm sure John Lynch is probably, he's probably got a bad taste in his mouth from the last Arizona State wide receiver.
Fair enough.
But
5 for 8.
I guess maybe the last two, Ricky Pearsall there too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Well,
I would say probably
Jordyn
not.
Tyson's going to get shot. Okay. We'll go 5 for 8. Okay. At number 28, the Houston Texans.
Probably not.
Okay. 5 for 9. Let's go to then the Los Angeles Rams.
I could see it. I could see the Rams taking him earlier in the draft. And I said this months ago that Devontae Adams is aging. You've got Puka. Stafford, you probably get for the one more year. You throw in a young Jordyn Tyson to learn from Puka and Devontae and have him involved in that offense and a Sean McVay offense. Yeah, they're turning in that card too if he's there.
6 of 10. Okay, let's get to the Denver Broncos.
Yes, they're drafting him too.
7 of 11. New England Patriots.
Yes, they're drafting him too.
8 of 12. And the Seattle Seahawks.
They could draft him too.
9 of 13 picks. And we're being conservative with that, where we could see teams taking him and we still kept him off the board. There is absolutely no way that this guy gets past the end of the first round, man. 20 to 32, there's no way.
If the Chargers pass on Jordyn Tyson there at 22, I'm going to be a very unhappy camper. Okay? The unhappiest of campers, if that is the case.
We could have played this game with the entire first round. I think once you start getting to like the Chiefs at 9, like how do you see the Chiefs passing up?
And of course, things will change depending on this draft is going to be weird, man, because normally, and we've had this conversation briefly before, right? Where it's like, we normally get to this point in the draft and it's like, okay, there's quarterbacks galore. And there's mock drafts that are like, quarterback's going to go 1 and 2 and then 9 and 13 and 24. It's never how it works, right? If the number 1 quarterback is there, they're going first overall. And from that point on, then there tends to be a run, right? There tends to be a run on those types of players. So I think the real thing as it relates to Jordyn Tyson and where he's going to fall between 10 and 20 or 20 and beyond is how early does Carnell Tate go? How early does Lemon go? Right? Based off those. And there's a chance, of course, still that Tyson goes before either one of them. There's a chance that Tyson is second off the board after Tate or after Lemon, depending on how, these teams view all three of these guys. These three are the cream of the crop in this 2026 class, right? So if somebody pulls the trigger on Carnell Tate at 9, and then somebody gets spooked that they're not going to get a top-level wide receiver and they draft Lemon at, let's say, 12 or 13, then boom. Then Jordyn Tyson's sweet spot is right after 13. But that could, of course, change if somebody pulls the trigger on Carnell Tate and Lemon in the top 10, right? Because wide receivers are valuable spots, especially on those types of contracts. So we'll see. And another thing that needs to get brought up in terms of this first round discussion is if we're talking about Jordyn Tyson as a first round wide receiver, fully healthy, fully medically cleared, right? First round talent, top 10 guy, top 3 receiver in this class, okay? A team will absolutely draft him in the first round over the second round based off the fact that you get that 5th-year option at the end of those rookie contracts, right? So if we're talking again about a top 10 guy that somehow magically falls because GMs are on drugs, right? Like somebody's going to sneak back in to get that extra year, on a nothing salary based off of what a superstar wide receiver could potentially make in the NFL. That's something that needs to be clarified that I haven't necessarily seen yet as it relates to this Jordyn Tyson falling out of the first round conversation, which again is a stupid conversation in and of itself, and I don't want to have it with anybody else outside of Erik Ruby, right? So earlier when we talked about the draft stock, though, we talked about the combine specifically, assuming that the pro day didn't exist. The pro day does exist, right? And it is a big, big part of it for players that don't do workouts and testing at the actual NFL Combine. So what I will say as it relates to this whole conversation, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on it, Erik, is while I don't care that he's not doing anything at the Combine outside of interviews, he needs to have a good pro day. He needs to have a solid pro day to make up for all this, this other conversation about, hey, is he this? Is he that? Is he injury prone? Whatever, right? At the very least, if he doesn't want to do drills or anything, I need to see him run, right? Not even based off of speed. I don't care. Because, again, this whole conversation about JT is not about his hands. It's not about his football IQ. It's not about his route running. It's not about his release. It's not about his run blocking. It's about his durability, right? It's about his availability. Is he going to be there on Sunday? Can you count on him, right? So at the very least, homie needs to run in a straight line for 40 yards as fast as he can just so I can see that he can do it. You don't even got to time him. I don't care. I know he's fast. Seen him do it, right? Turn on the tape. You see he looks fast, right? I don't care if it's a 4.39, a 4.44, a 4.22. I don't care, okay? I need to see that you are healthy enough to run. That's it. Chop it up. I'll get back on the plane and I'll go home.
Yes and no, because he's going to be turning in medicals at the Combine. If he's clear and he's talking to teams and they're like, we're going to take you if you're there at 8 and I'm the New Orleans Saints, or at 9 and I'm the Chiefs, or right outside the top 10, like, we will take you. Why do that? You don't have to, right? Like, if the medicals come back clear and you're not doing anything at the Combine, you don't have to do anything at your pro day. You don't. Now, for our mind state and for, like, maybe fans who are worried about his health, I think that would be good. Or if maybe this Combine doesn't go exactly how he would expect it to go, and either the medicals came up with a couple red flags that by pro day he feels better about, or he's not getting the draft promises that he wants, or not getting a good feeling about going in the first round, which again, I think is not going to happen, then I think he's got to do that. But it's pro day and it's a Combine. And these are for the guys that, like, the Keith Abneys of the world, the Max Ahanachers of the world, the Keyshawn Elliott's, the Ghost Rousers. Like, those are what these days are for, right? And unfortunately, not a lot of them at the Combine, but the pro day is for guys like that to showcase themselves.
Yeah.
Jordyn Tyson, if the medicals are clear, he doesn't have to do a damn thing until he gets into a pro football facility.
Will asks, what are the chances at this point that Ahanacher gets drafted before Jordyn Tyson? Says about 10%.
Low.
I'm going to say 0%. There's still a zero. There's a 0% chance that Max Ahanacher gets drafted before Jordyn Tyson. I
think there's a more than 0% chance that a team falls in love with Ahanacher. He's the absolute offensive line darling of this draft. There might be a run at offensive lineman in the first round, and somebody takes Max Ahanacher in a shocking pick, which GMs do all the time, like 21st, and Jordyn Tyson goes like
22. If Max is going 21 to the Steelers, then at 22 with JT there, I mean, I'm going to have that powder blue jersey already printed with Tyson on the back.
So
okay,
I don't want to say a 0% chance, but it's incredibly low.
It is less than a 1% chance.
What would you give the odds of Max going in the first round?
%10.
Then I'd say 3% chance that he goes in front of Jordyn Tyson.
We'll see. We'll see at the very least. I think, again, like, in terms of this whole narrative, I think it's quick to have the knee-jerk reaction when it comes to JT and especially this stuff. But I think there's a very real conversation to be had about this is, like you said, Erik, not the first time that we've seen a wide receiver, specifically a wide receiver, opt to not participate in on-field drills and testing. As recently as another wide receiver that Valley sports fans know, some maybe love, some maybe don't, and that is Arizona's Totri McMillan. We're going to have that conversation comparing TMac and Tyson and really what their college careers looked like before going to the NFL draft on the other side of our second break. Look, everybody needs a checking account, and for you, you probably want one that has built-in perks and benefits just for you. Well, lucky for you, the Mountain America Credit Union My Style checking account exists. It has exactly what you need and what you want. Getting back to some of those perks, you guys can enjoy restaurant deals, mobile phone protection, telehealth access, identity protection, loan rate discounts, offers on travel and events, and more. Make sure you make My Style your lifestyle at Mountain America Credit Union. And if you support Arizona State, if you are a Sun Devil, which I imagine a ton of you are here in the chat, well, Mountain America Credit Union, they support the Sun Devils as well, because of course, the home to Kenny Dillingham's Arizona State Sun Devil football team is none other than Mountain America Credit Union. Mountain America Stadium. Make sure you visit macu.com/mystyle to apply. Insured by NCUA. Membership required based on eligibility. Some benefits require no cost registration/activation. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply.
Now I'm imagining a football game being played inside a credit union. And guess what? I'd be there and I'd be rocking my branded Bills hats, because everywhere I go, I'm not only repping ASU because I got all my ASU branded Bills hats, but I'm repping branded Bills. Such a high quality company with high quality hats. Whether you need snapbacks, truckers, fitted beanies, or tees, Branded Bills has you covered with performance and style. And they have partnerships with 40 universities, of course, including ASU and so many other colleges across the United States. But here's the thing that we've kind of been underrating about Branded Bills recently is that you can get your own custom headwear for your own company, whether it's maybe a small business that you're starting or a small business that has turned into a big business with a lot of employees that you want to make sure are repping your company proud out and about. Well, they'll feel good, they'll look good with Branded Bills. Branded Bills is the best. They also have partnerships with the PHNX Suns. You can get it at the Mortgage Matchup Center. And as always, we love supporting local here. They're a local company out of Mesa, Arizona. Head to brandedbills.com. Use code BVPHNX for 15% off your first order.
Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. I mean, share and hit it in the chat. I mean, come on, let's leave a like here, guys. We only got what, like 6-ish likes? Let's get that number up here. Again, talking Jordyn Tyson and potentially the fallout and impact of JT not participating in on-field drills and, of course, testing at the 2026 NFL Combine, which is this week. Rubus, not the first time. And it won't be the last time. But again, if we're talking just comparisons here, let's take a look at how Jordyn Tyson's college career stacks up with Totri McMillan, another Valley Sports wide receiver that at the time, coming out of college, didn't participate in drills and testing at the 2025 NFL Combine. In terms of games, Tyson played 29 in college to TMac's 36. You look at receptions, in 7 more games, TMac had 213 total receptions. Tyson had $158. In terms of receiving yards, Tyson had 2,282 to TMac's 3,423. In terms of yards per catch, 14.4 for Tyson, 16.1 for TMac. And then in terms of receiving touchdowns, 22 for Tyson in 7 fewer games, and then, of course, 26 for TMac. I don't want to make this a U of A ASU thing here, but again, these are 2 of maybe the schools in the Valley, their best wide receivers they've ever had. Potentially, I think there's a conversation to be had. You look at the numbers, I think it's just, again, you got to kind of marvel in what those 2 did and were able to accomplish. TMac didn't do anything at the Combine, went number 8 overall to the Carolina Panthers, fresh off Offensive Rookie of the Year.
I think when you look at those 2 stats, and maybe fans of this podcast will be upset with me, but you see the difference between what the conversation was around TMac and Jordyn Tyson. There was no chance that TMac dropped out of the top 10. There was no conversation to be had about, does he go down to the teens? Does it just was never a conversation, right? TMac, as much as I hate the school he played for, is one of the best receivers I've ever watched play with my own 2 eyes. Like, he's just that good. So is Jordyn Tyson, right? And so I'm not trying to say that Jordyn Tyson isn't, but you see the difference in maybe this injury conversation of, availability, counting stats, and then how are you currently, as to why we could even have a conversation like this, because it wasn't a conversation with TMac, right? I do have some beef with the freckled Mamba, though. If you may allow me
Wow.
to bring, can we throw that graphic back up on the screen?
Oh God, here we go.
Why did you pick the picture where it looked like Jordyn Tyson peed his pants?
Unlucky shadow, freckled Mamba.
That is one of the most unlucky shadows I've ever seen in my entire life. Anyways, not actually that serious, but to me, skipping the combine where I'm kind of leaning for Jordyn Tyson is that he's having conversations with teams that are probably similar to the conversations that TMac had.
Yeah.
Because he's not avoiding giving them medicals and he's not avoiding meeting with them. I think that he has heard some very good news about where he's going to end up. And look, I looked up today a most recent mock draft that was posted 3 hours ago by, what's this guy's name? By Blake Brockmeyer over at CBS Sports. Do you want to guess where Jordyn Tyson is going?
Top 20?
8th to the New Orleans Saints. 2 picks behind Carnell Tate.
Yeah. I mean, I got one in front of me from Bucky Brooks that was posted, let's see, a couple hours ago. He has Tyson going 16 to the New York Jets.
And there was no TMac is going to go in the late or whatever, right? But Jordyn Tyson's still being mocked at the same ceiling that TMac was being mocked at. And again, I think he's absolutely deserved that. Side note, these aren't real people, right?
What?
Who was the guy that you said?
Bucky Brooks?
Bucky Brooks and Blake Brockmeyer? I mean, those are AI generated names, right?
They are. I know for a fact Bucky Brooks is a real person.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you about Blake, but I know Bucky's alive and well.
I'm looking at Blake Brockmeyer right now. Oh, he looks like a real guy. Anyway, sorry. He was
Okay,
an All-American
went down the
offensive
rabbit
tackle.
hole.
He was an All-American offensive tackle at the University of Texas and a first-round NFL draft pick by the Carolina Panthers in 1995.
Now he's doing mock drafts.
So he's very much a real person.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. JT's real. I can promise you that. He's in both those mock drafts. He's in all the other mock drafts in the first round. I'll take it this far. I haven't seen a mock draft that doesn't have Jordyn Tyson in the first round.
I can't
Recent
imagine. Recent
or not. Right? Because again, mock drafts have been coming out for a year now, over a year. People do their way too early mock drafts. He's always been there. He's always been a guy that has been a lock to be in the first round. And like you said, he's going to do the medicals, right? If someone's going to draft him, they're going to be confident in his body. They're going to be confident in, his ability to be out there and be ready for training camp at the very least, right? I don't think it's going to be a big thing. I think in honesty, like it has more to do with media and more to do with national perception of why a player skips. Right? Of why a player is opting not to do those things. And again, throw the numbers back up there, Ayrton. Like, if you look at what he did through 29 games at Arizona State and Colorado, 158 receptions, over 2,200 yards receiving, averaged 14 yards per catch, and found the end zone 22 times from receptions. 24, I believe, total if you count one rushing and one return touchdown as well, right? Dude catches the football. He's explosive. He blocks well. And if you want to have a real conversation, if you want to get into like people potentially, passing on Jordyn Tyson, how about you call his wide receiver coach? How about you call Hines Ward and see what Hines has to say, Super Bowl MVP, has to say about his star pupil? I guarantee you it's nothing but good things.
And I guarantee you that is part of the reason why the Freckled Mamba said he saw no way that the Pittsburgh Steelers would
I'll tell you what, in terms of scouts, the Pittsburgh Steelers were a plentiful at Arizona State practices early on in the season. They were also plentiful at games as well.
Well, and I think that's maybe a conversation that you and I have not had yet, or at least you and I together, where every single game there were scouts. That's just home games, right? Let alone road games. You and I saw from that angle, this specific same angle that they are watching Jordyn Tyson from, so many of the most insane plays you've ever seen in your entire life. Dude, how many times in the press box, like, you don't get a lot of reactions in the press box. Did Jordyn Tyson do something and you kind of heard that like collective gasp? And we sat right in front of scouts. And then there's like a little chatter behind us, right? Like, and they're probably talking about like, damn, that was really good. This guy's really good at football, right? Like he is
Really, I always heard, look at those two podcasters right in front of us. That's always what
those
I
two
heard.
guys in front of us. They know ball. They definitely know ball. And again, it's just, to me, we talked about it all last week, and I didn't really want to repeat myself today, but there's no weakness for Jordyn Tyson on the football field besides, staying on the football field. And when you're an analyst, when you're a scout and you see somebody who's literally a plus, if not a plus in every single facet of the game you're going to ask him to be, and is the type of guy that teams will fall in love with off the field as well, comes from a great pedigree, athletic background from his family. His brother is a first-round pick in the NBA. He has his head on his shoulders. He's a great leader. He's overcome a lot of adversity when it comes to injury and has only gotten better throughout of it. Like, you talked about how he has to work harder to recover from his injuries. He also told us a Big 12 Media Day, like, he's out there on the field an hour before everybody else because it's preventing injuries as well. Like, NFL teams are going to love this guy. Like, Mel Kiper has him going 14th to, cover your ears, Ayrton, the Baltimore Ravens. Like, he can fit everywhere.
Sorry, Ayrton.
Everywhere. Yeah. It is asinine to think that this guy's going out of the first round. No matter, he could go out there in the middle of Indianapolis, Totri, pull down his pants and take a big fat dump in the middle of the field, walk away, and he's still going at least in the top 25.
I don't know. I think that might be pushing it. I feel like that would be a crime. I don't know if he could take it that far, but he could get it probably pretty close, right? And I think, again, like, when we bring up those numbers, right, and I know there's going to be folks after the fact or listening on audio when they hear the numbers or they look at the numbers and they see the disparity, right, specifically in receptions and receiving yards in just those 7 games. I want you to also take in mind that one of these guys had Cam Scadaboo on his team. The other was his entire team, right? Jordyn Tyson was able to do all of this while still having Cam Scadaboo as the primary weapon for Arizona State's offense in 2024, right? Now imagine what his numbers would look like if Scat wasn't there. Now, Arizona State, I think no question, wouldn't have had the overall success that it had as a team and a program in 2024. Imagine what JT's numbers would have been if he was the only dude offensively that could I guess buy a bucket, for a lack of better terms.
Yeah. Last thing I'll say before we take a break here on that. Also, imagine if he had a quarterback that was a little more consistent at the beginning of his first year at Arizona State as well. Sam Levitt's a very good quarterback. Him and Jordyn Tyson worked very well together. There were some flaws early in that first season about getting JT the ball. And if you looked at Jordyn Tyson's numbers, he got off to a slow start.
Yeah.
In 2024. And so did Sam Levitt relatively to what they both did on the second half of that season. And so if there was a little bit more consistency to getting him the ball earlier in that 2024 season, I mean, we're talking about a guy who's putting up insane numbers no matter what. Like, he already is. So I don't get the conversation. I feel like it's NFL draft season, Totri. People just talk themselves out of guys and into guys for no reason because the draft process is so long.
Well, look, we are going to wrap up this conversation on Jordyn Tyson, and I've got a hypothetical new rule that we can institute with the NFL Combine that we're going to discuss on the other side of our final break.
You always want to be prepared, which is why you need to write this number down right now. 602-783-8841. That's 602-783-8841. That's the number to the husband and wife law team, because when you get yourself in an accident or a serious injury, which you never know when it's going to happen, you need to call Mark and Alexis Breyer and their team first. Because let's face it, after a serious injury, you want to hire an attorney that's focused on your best outcome, not how much money the firm makes. That's the husband and wife law team, and they'll actually guarantee it. They'll guarantee that you'll receive at least as much in your pocket as they receive for their fee, even if they reduce their attorney's fee to do so. You can also cancel your fee agreement at any time for any reason. You may speak with one of their lawyers as often as you choose about anything you'd like to discuss, and of course, they will always tell you the strengths of your case, but also the weaknesses so that you can make the most informed decision. So make the informed decision first. If you've had a serious injury, call the husband and wife law team first at 602-783-8841 or visit their website, the link in our show notes, and tell them that PHNX sent you.
Look, sometimes saving money can be hard. It can be challenging, especially in today's economy. But that's why Circle K, they're trying to help you save money every single day on the little things in life. We're talking snacks, drinks, and of course, gas. But your question is, well, how? How is Circle K helping you save money every single day? Well, it's with their Inner Circle membership. Again, a completely free membership. All you got to do, go to the App Store, download the app, enter your email and phone number. That's all it takes to be a part of that Circle K Inner Circle free membership program where you guys are going to start saving on gas, drinks, and snacks. And they've got these amazing things called Inner Circle Fuel Days where you guys can save sometimes 40 cents off per gallon on gas. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, they've got those daily deals on snacks and drinks at a bunch of their participating locations. Make sure you join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button again, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Z-Man in here, Will, Bees, the list goes on and on and on. I want to take a second to let you know we appreciate everybody watching live, watching after the fact, and then, of course, listening on audio as well. Rubus, before I get to my hypothetical here, final thoughts on Jordyn Tyson not participating in on-field drills and workouts.
Bummed, but I don't care. Like, yeah, everything's going to be fine.
Everything is going to be fine. It's going to be more than fine for Jordyn Tyson. And I want to get that perfectly clear. There's no conversation about Jordyn Tyson falling out of the first round. It's not going to happen. He's not participating in on-field drills and workouts at the 2026 NFL Combine. And you know what? That's fine. It's just okay. It's not the first time that a talented, potentially top 10, top 15 player hasn't done so. We'll see what happens at the Pro Day. These teams will get their medical evals. And guess what? Come April, you're going to see that pitchfork in Jordyn Tyson's name fly across your screen when he's drafted in the first round of the 2026 NFL Draft. And that is an absolute guarantee. You can take it to the bank. Now, does it bum me out that only 4 Arizona State Sun Devils got sent invites to the 2026 NFL Combine and only 3 are going to participate? Yes. But again, not the first time that we've seen this happen, right? Where high-level players get the invites because, of course, they're going to get invited, right? You want to do those interviews. You want to do the medicals. You want to have those conversations. Now, here's where I think things could get fun. If a player in this case, or a player in the case of like TMac last year, opts early enough, which again, you'd have to have some sort of system to where players have to make it known early on that they're not going to participate in on-field drills or workouts, then I would love it that if the team could then send a replacement draft-eligible player in that individual's place to, at the very least, do on-field workouts and drills. Don't have to do medicals. Don't have to do interviews. At the very least, they just get to go out there and test, right? Do those on-field workouts, which for the case of Arizona State, if Jordyn Tyson's on-field invitation was taken back and he said, I'm not going to participate, Jordan Crook, Miles Rouser, Xavier Alford, Clayton Smith, Prince Dorba, number of Sun Devils that you know for a fact would go out there and participate. Why? Because their draft stock looks different, right? And it wouldn't cost the NFL anything, right? You've already sent this other guy an invitation. You already had planned for at least one other Sun Devil to be there. So why can't the team make that decision, right? Or hell, even if you don't want the team to pick, you pick another one. If you have out there that 4 Sun Devils are going to be at the Combine and one says they're not going to participate, cool. I need at least one more Sun Devil.
I think it would have to be the NFL to do that, because what you don't want to create is like, okay, Kenny Dillingham gets to pick, and now it's like you have a bunch of guys who are like, please, 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 please. Obviously, not exactly like that, but then it's like, who do you pick, right? Who do you send out there? Do you send somebody who's on like the bubble of going to the combine? Do you send somebody who really needs the draft stock help? Like, what's the choice? I think you'd have to give it to the NFL, but yeah, I mean that'd be nice. I don't think they would ever do it, not to burst your bubble. But I don't know if they'd ever do it. But I think specifically this year with all these Sun Devils who probably should have or could have been invited to the combine, it would be nice. It would definitely be nice to be able to see some more of them out there. I do wonder if that would create a dynamic of like, okay, I am on purpose not going to go there to give somebody else a spot, and what maybe that type of dynamic could create, or if there would be pressure on somebody like a Jordyn Tyson to not go and do the on-field stuff, which again, maybe if he's a different player, he needs to do or he wants to do because he would be thus taking an opportunity away from somebody else. I think it does create a little bit of a weird power dynamic, but in a vacuum, I think it would be a very nice thing to be able to have more Sun Devils out there. And if that's what it takes, then I'm down for it.
Well, let us know. Let us know what you guys think in the chat of that hypothetical, and let us know what you think about the whole Jordyn Tyson, potential NFL Combine debacle and the fallout from all of that, because that is going to do it for today's episode of the PHNX Sun Devils Show. Hit that like button, the subscribe button on your way out. And wherever you get your podcasts, go ahead and throw us a 5-star review. It goes a long way. And if you want to keep up with all things Arizona State, give the show a follow at PHNX_Sun Devils on X, on Instagram, and of course on TikTok as well. You can follow me at Anthony_Totri. You could, of course, follow Erik Ruby, the Jordyn Tyson stunt double, who you'll see in Indy in just a few short days at the 2026 NFL Combine, at Erik Ruby. That is Erik with a K. You can follow the Freckled Mamba at Freckled Mamba on social, and we will see you guys on Wednesday. But in the meantime, go Devils, and peace.
We all silly like the mayor.